Hello everybody, we're going to be looking at another technique to get our drone to get nice smooth footage of us whilst we're moving without having to pay too much attention to the controls. Let's get started. Now I can't take credit for this idea. This was actually a comment left by Lindsay Hayes on my last video, which was the how to get the drone to follow you. And I'm going to be experimenting with this, looking into it and seeing how well it works, what it's good for and where its limitations are. So what we're going to do is we're going to use return to home to get the drone to fly in a straight line whilst filming and obviously catch us on the way. Now the idea of this shot is to get an overtaking shot like this here. So what we want to do before we get started is set the maximum height and the return to home height to the height we want it to follow us. Now I wanted to get as low as possible and the lowest you can get with the Mavic Mini is 15 meters. So I set them both to 15 meters. And then I put it down on top of the DJI box. So we're going to take off from here, and this is going to be our return to home point. It's really important that we make sure we're in a nice clear space and that the return to home path is nice and clear and we're not going to hit anything on the way. It's also important to make sure there's no animals around or any people that we might interfere with. Okay, so once we've done that, we're ready to go. Now I'm going to leave the case here just so you can see where it's heading towards. Obviously, if this has got a chance to be in your footage, you might just want to remember where it's heading, but for the video, it just makes a nice marker. So I've left that there, and obviously when I take the drone off, this is going to be its return to home point. So from here, when I take off, I'm going to move away and back, and I'm going to get the drone to fly over me and past me. So I've got a fair distance back here, and I've got the drone even further past me, and I'm standing between it and the return to home path. So now what I'm going to do is hit return to home on the controller and start walking towards a return to home point. Now it's important before you do this that you wait for it to get to maximum altitude before you start moving, otherwise you're going to miss the part of the film you want to catch. Now I tried this with a few different ways. If we go back and look at Lindsay's comment, we can see that if we want to get a jogging speed, we should set it to cinematic. If we want to get a cyclist, we should set it to positioning mode. And if we want to get something like a car, we can set it to sports mode. Now I'm not going to lie, I didn't want to have to jog at first. I did try this walking and it did move a bit too fast. So let's see what happened. There we go. So what we could do to change this is we could have put it up a bit higher and I'd be in the scene for longer. But ultimately at this speed I think we're going to have to jog. So I went back to the position again and then I started jogging. And this is what I got. So this is a much better shot, so I recommend not shooting straight down with a gimbal. Having it at a slight angle does look slightly better in my opinion, and it'll also mean you've got more time of your subject in the shot. And in case you're wondering why I'm running like an injured pigeon, it's because I hurt my knee a few weeks back. So I say this technique is going to be really useful if you just want to film going in a straight line and not have to interfere with the controls too much. The other good thing about this method is you can control the gimbal whilst doing it, so once you've gone past yourself, you can rotate the gimbal upwards. Now there are also a few drawbacks for this method. In particular, you can't control the speed of the drone. It's either going to be going in smooth mode, in positioning mode, or sports mode, and they're the only three speeds you can get. So unless you do want to be jogging, or if you're following yourself on a bicycle, it's going to be quite difficult to do it. I wouldn't recommend doing this whilst driving, obviously, but you'll get the idea of different speeds and different things you can achieve. It doesn't have to be these three things. Now I do recommend flying at return to home height. It will just save you time when you want the drone to follow you. You can also set up the angle you want the gimbal to be at and know exactly where you will be and where it's going to find you when it moves forwards. Here's some video of me trying this whilst on a bicycle. And as you can see, it does work fairly well. Now we can slow down the bicycle and shoot in smooth mode as well. And we can see this down here. Okay guys, so if you give this a go, just make sure you do it really safely, make sure you've got control of the drone at all times, and make sure you know where it is. That's it for this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.